This week in U.S. immigration news, we are going to cover DHS and the DOJ issue a new rule to process asylum claims. White House will resettle 100,000 Ukrainian refugees, Ukrainians at the U.S.-Mexico border. USCIS efforts to increase efficiency. Biden's budget proposal. USCIS expands flexibility for responding to agency requests. COVID-19 vaccinations for migrants. Immigrant detention centers. DHS and Department of Justice are issuing a rule to efficiently and fairly process asylum claims made by non-citizens subject to expedited removal. Those who are eligible for asylum will be granted relief quickly with the new rule. The rule allows asylum officers within USCIS to consider the asylum applications of individuals subject to removal that fear persecution or torture and meet the criteria under a fear screening. Any individual who is not granted asylum will be referred for removal proceedings before an immigration judge. Due to the backlogs, the process for hearing and deciding asylum cases currently takes several years. The new implemented rule will shorten the process to several months for most asylum applicants. White House announced it plans to resettle up to 100,000 Ukrainian refugees in the U.S. amid the Russian attacks in Ukraine. The administration is focusing on resettling Ukrainians that already have family members in the U.S. and vulnerable refugees including LGBTQ individuals, people with medical needs, journalists, and dissidents. The Biden administration also announced $1 billion in new funding for humanitarian relief for Ukraine. It did not clarify whether the Ukrainian refugees will be given humanitarian parole. About 1,000 Ukrainians have arrived at the U.S.-Mexico border this month, a major increase from the 272 encounters in February. The number of Russian immigrants at the southern border has declined this month from a high of over 2,000 migrants in December to around 750 this month. Throughout the past year, there have been far more people from countries such as Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador at the border. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas told reporters that border officials have been instructed to consider using exemptions for Ukrainians rather than expelling them through Title 42. USCIS announced new efforts to increase efficiency and reduce burdens to the legal immigration system. The agency will set new backlog reduction goals, expand premium processing to additional form types, and work to improve timely access to employment authorization documents. To reduce the processing backlogs, USCIS is establishing new internal cycle time goals to guide the backlog reduction efforts and affect how long it takes to process cases. For expanding premium processing, USCIS will be expanding the categories of forms ultimately eligible for premium processing services. To improve access to employment authorization, the agency streamlined different processes, including extending validity periods and providing expedited work authorization renewals for healthcare and childcare workers.
If you are new to our channel, welcome and please subscribe to stay in the loop. We offer free 15-minute consultations if your case is qualified, so we can point you in the right direction. Stay tuned for the secret code later in the show.
President Biden released a budget on Monday that includes defense, law enforcement spending, and tackling inflation and deficit reduction in service. The budget would provide $15.3 billion to Customs and $8.1 billion to ICE, including $309 million for border security technology. These two immigration law enforcement agencies would see increases of around 13%. The budget also includes $19 million for border fencing and other infrastructure. The budget would allocate $773 billion to the Defense Department. In response to the pandemic, USCIS is extending certain flexibilities through July 25, 2022, to help applicants, petitioners, and requesters. The agency is anticipating that this could be the last extension of these flexibilities. USCIS will consider a response received within 60 days after the due date set forth in the requests or notices before taking any action, if the issuance date listed on the request or notice is between March 1, 2020 and July 25, 2022. This includes request for evidence, continuations to request evidence, notices of intent to deny, notices of intent to revoke, notices of intent to rescind, notices of intent to terminate regional centers, and motions to reopen an N400. The Biden administration will offer COVID-19 vaccinations to migrants taken into custody at the U.S.-Mexico border. DHS initially will offer up to 2,700 vaccines a day, with the goal of increasing to 6,000 daily by the end of May. Last year, top White House officials rejected extending vaccines to migrants because they thought it would encourage more people to come to the United States. The U.S. is planning to close a detention center in Alabama and decrease the number of beds at 3 other facilities. ICE will end the use of the Etowah County Detention Center in Gadsden, Alabama due to its history of deficiencies and other issues arising from the facility. The use of Glades County Detention Center in Florida is temporarily being closed due to concerns related to medical care available at the facility.
Friends, show us some love and smash the like button. It doesn't cost you anything. If you have an immigration problem or need a second opinion because you cannot get a hold of your own lawyer, schedule a meeting with our team. Share information with our CARES team and they will help you get scheduled with our legal team. Now here's a secret code to unlock the free 15 minutes.